main event, Israel Adesanya defending his belt against Alex Pereira. What were your thoughts, man? I give you some roses, give you some my condolences.
Wow. Literally, the heartbreaking describes the event. Heartbreaking. I obviously wanted Adesanya to win. I thought he had I had seen some things and people say that there is no logical or there's no argument for picking Adesanya in this fight. To which I disagreed with, because in both of their fights, I thought he got the better of them and he lost a decision. And then he also got knocked out in the last round of a fight that he was winning. So using that as foreshadowing, maybe that is not a good reason to pick him. But I mean, am I not going to pick Usman versus Edwards? I don't know. So I think Adesanya had a good I think he had an argument to being able to win this, because he definitely has been fighting in mixed martial arts longer. He definitely has been fighting in the UFC longer. He could strike with him. It's not like he's outclassed. He's definitely at a disadvantage when it comes to power. But in that fight, he dominated. He showed that he was the better fighter the whole fight until he showed he wasn't. So being caught at the end of the fight, I don't know, maybe I feel like in that last round, and maybe I need to watch it again, but I just feel like in the last round maybe he needs to hunt him more, like not necessarily just go crazy, but maybe be more like aggressive. And that's easy to say for us to say, but I just feel like this is the only thing that happens in like all other sports. When you're up and you have the lead and you just play not to lose the lead versus continuing to do what you've been doing, that doesn't always work out. You get a 20-point lead in basketball and you're coasting. They hit a couple threes. It gets closer. Now the pressure's on you because they have nothing to lose. You're just coasting. You get up in football, 14, 21 points. They strike back. You throw an interception after they score a touchdown. It's a completely different game. You start coasting and chilling, it doesn't work well. And he was dominating. Like, I would have liked to see more grappling. Just grab him. Just do something. Don't even strike with him anymore. You showed that if you get him on the ground, it looks like he looked like fucking Hamzat out there, bro. It was crazy. And the craziest part about all of this is that Pereira beat Adesanya, TKO'd him, and this might be the only person that he's gonna beat in the top like 5. Like, freaking Whitaker is way stronger, has more wrestling. He might be able to take him down, hold him down. If Hamzat comes up, Hamzat's probably gonna win the title. Like, it is so crazy because he is so disadvantaged. Like, the way Adesanya grappled with him made Adesanya look like he might have some type of jiu-jitsu, a wrestling background. And it's ridiculous. And I think I seen a stat that said he only had 1 takedown. But even in that 1 takedown, he has over 5 minutes of control time, over a round of control time on Periera. Like, that doesn't even make this is Adesanya we're talking about. So I'm like, it's a heartbreaking fight to see him dominate that whole fight. And even if he loses that 5th round, to still win at 3-2, like, is heartbreaking, to say the least.
Yeah, it was definitely tough, and it made me like strike the question, which I'm interested to get your opinion on, because I know we've had this conversation in the past. I think most notably it might have been Golden State versus the Cavs, when the Cavs came back 3-1. I had told you that Golden State was the better team, and you had said Golden State could not have been the better team because the better team won, and that's why you play a series. But that makes me pose the question here: who do you think is the better fighter, Israel Adesanya or Alex Pereira?
I think after that fight, I think Adesanya showed that he was the better fighter, and that Pereira just has the one thing that equalizes everything, which is the power. Like, we
So
gotta just think about, like, if he hits him with that hook and it doesn't knock him out, he loses that fight. Adesanya controls him for over 5 minutes, and they're striking outside of that hit, which was the hit of, like, he put him out right there, almost put him out right there. Adesanya did the same thing to him in the first. So it's kind of like, it looks pretty even.
mm-hmm.
To me, on the feet, they look good together, but he just, bro. So yes, I think Israel showed that he was a better fighter.
Okay, so we have the two previous fights, albeit in a different sport. So
Right.
essentially in the series, because Adesanya said this is going to be a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially in the series, we have Alex up 3-0.
And he told us.
Yeah.
He told us. He put it
Yeah.
up at the end of the thing.
So Alex is up 3-0. It's just interesting. That's why I thought it was a fascinating question, because if you look at it, Adesanya appears to be the better fighter. He was winning. The first fight, some say he should have won. You say he should have won.
It was a good fight. That was
Second
a good fight.
fight, he was winning, got knocked out.
Right.
Third fight, he was winning, got knocked out. So it's like,
right.
I mean, how many more instances does this have to happen before we just have to say, I mean,
right, like he can.
This could go one of two ways. Either Pereira's the better fighter, which I don't think either of us share that opinion, or he's just his kryptonite. Like, Izzy's the better fighter, but he just can't get over this hump.
Exactly.
So it's definitely interesting. He also told you after the fight that, hey, I'm strong. He's like, people don't understand that I'm strong. I have a ground game. I just don't use it, but I'm strong. I'm a strong guy. You see these big hands? Weird shit. He held him down. It was kind of reminiscent of Gon and Ngannou, because when Gon got taken down, he looked like a fish out of water.
Right.
And that's definitely what Homeboy was looking like, Periera.
So yeah, it is gonna come to a point where I'm just gonna have to concede that there would be a point that I would concede that he just has his number, because we're going to need to see him against other people and see how that looks as well. But yeah, it's looking like he just has his number, because even in those fights, it's just like, bro, I remember I told you I compared this to like Wilder versus Fury. Like, he's going to have to refine his game to a point where it's like, I'm going to have to neutralize the power by making him fight a complete fight, and then me just getting out of the way. But even in those fights, that's why they call it the equalizer, because even in those fights, Wilder put it on Fury as well, to the point where it's like he might be knocked out as well in this fight. So you're going to have to take some licks, bro. You're going to have to take some licks, and you're going to have to survive the most. And that's like, it just, the difference between those comparison is Wilder is a power puncher. So it's like, he's just a power puncher. Whereas Fury is a complete boxer. He's a great all-time boxer. Both of these dudes are great all-time strikers. So it's not like you can just neutralize his power when he is a gifted striker and you have to deal with the power. It's just going to come down to Adesanya being able to take the lick. And like, then there's no way to train that. And he's literally so like little in terms of his frame.
Yeah, well,
so
he said he was still lucid though, and kind of hearing his description of it and seeing it, he might be giving himself a little more credit, because I know for us it was like, yo, but he was talking to Hawani, and he was saying that, I was lucid. He was on the side of the story. Hawani was like, yeah, it should have been. He's like, I'm gonna come out and say it. It was a premature stoppage to me, because he was out on the feet. Like, in order to call that, and you're out, like he wasn't on the ground. He didn't go to the ground. He was getting hit, but he was also showing his head movement. It's just like, I don't know, like, to take him or to take the title away. again, kind of like Fury and Wilder, he's like, let me go out on my shield.
Yeah.
And so how do you feel? Do you feel like it was a premature stoppage, or?
I feel like it was a premature stoppage, but it wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like you did stop it early. But I don't blame you. Like, the writing was on the wall, and it was up to Adesanya to like battle back through that adversity. But you, as the ref, your job is like to protect him. So you did your job. He touched the ground and got back up. So like when he stumbled that time, maybe you're like, okay, if he gets hit anymore, I'm gonna stop it. I don't blame him, but I would like to see, not just because it's my guy, but I would like to see him like let him get finished, not a TKO. Let him get to the point where you're like, I have to protect you because it's over for you, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So and I do think Israel is like, he laid it on a little thick when he said, I was lucid and I'm still good. It was like,
It didn't look that way, my brother.
Yeah, you were in a bad spot, but I do want to give him a chance to, like, we've seen these guys battle back, and then also we've seen guys punch themselves out. Like, you're doing all, like, Periera having to work and work and work and keep striking to the point where he might get tired. Who knows if they last 30 more seconds? Pereira's giving it everything he has, and then Adesanya finally gets the clinch.
Yeah.
Now he trips them. They're on the ground.
Well,
Who knows?
That's what he said he was waiting for. He was waiting for him to stop striking because at some point he was going to have to stop because he would have gotten tired, and then he was going to take him down and do whatever he was going to do with them. It is unfortunate, but it looks like the writing was on the wall. It happened the way it was supposed to. And Izzy is going to bounce back from this. He is a tremendous fighter. He looked very sharp in that fight. He was very engaged, very in the moment. You could see it. And before the fight, I mentioned he kind of looked like he had a different energy. He might have had a little bit of nerves going, but during the fight, none of that was apparent at all. He looked very sharp, very agile. And that was the best version I've seen of Izzy personally, especially because I got into the sport later into, the lifeline of it. But I mean, what's next for him? To me, it's kind of apparent you have to run it back. I think you should run it back. They're going to have that Brazil card. Maybe he can go fight him in Brazil, get the title back. Just like they're going to have that English card that most likely Leon Edwards is going to be on. He'll fight Usman. So it's kind of a similar storyline in that regard. And it seems like there's this theme of going to get people's titles in their, or going to get your redemption in their hometown or home state or home country. So what's next for Izzy? Let me know what you think.
So do you know how crazy it is if they're going to be fighting in Brazil? The first kickboxing fight, Izzy loses by decision. The second fight, I believe they fight in Brazil. And then he gets knocked out. If they fight in Brazil, it's almost history, kind of like, bro, it's too close. It's kind of too close. The simulation, but that actually might, Izzy's kind of like one of those kind of guys who's almost spiritual in a sense, where he might be like, this is my chance to right my wrong and get it back in Brazil. Like, I'm having an opportunity. This is the UFC. The production's great. They're gonna spin it. What's next for Izzy is the rematch. I don't think it's a question. And actually, I think they said, Dana White said that if the one place he's trying to go is Africa. They were like, where at in Africa? He said Nigeria. It makes the most sense. We have these champions from there, this and that, third. They said, does it make sense to do to get those guys on the fight card, like the card in Nigeria? And he said, I don't think we'll have Nigeria or Africa fast enough to put those guys on that card. That lets me know this is happening before April. So maybe we just might have our main event for Brazil. If not, if Glover, this makes the most sense for Brazil, because unless Glover wins his title, there isn't a Brazilian champion, I don't believe. Oh, unless Nunez is the champion. But then you're gonna need for your first show back to Brazil. You're gonna want someone a little bit bigger than Nunez, and to have Nunez be the co-main versus having that be the main. So I think with these last couple minutes, we got to talk about Pereira. He showed his heart. He did his thing, and he came to scrap. Yeah. So I think Pereira came to scrap. I think he proved like he could weather through some adversity, and I think he proved that like everybody that was saying he had a quick shot to the title. Well, you beat the champion, so there's nothing else to talk about. And he just needs to work on that ground game. He works with Glover Teixeira, so he's going to have a lot of time to do that.
Yeah, I mean, big kudos to him. He did it again. It's not easy to beat an amazing fighter 3 times in a row, and he definitely did that and switched sports and did it as well. One thing that was interesting, he did bounce back. I kind of thought it was over after he got rocked at the end of the first round. I thought Izzy was going to be able to put it away shortly thereafter. And it was interesting because he kind of threw in flurries, like it was sporadic, and he caught Izzy at the right time. So shout outs to him. We have a great champion in Alex Pereira.
I agree.
Thanks for watching Certified Jesters. If you liked the video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this.
And don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss a post.